up, fam? We are back on the CEO Pulse podcast where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. And we're back on Mindset Mondays with my co-host and great friend, Justin Thorstad. Today, Justin came up with the idea to tackle this topic, and I think it's very, very relevant, right? And it's the conversation about overwhelm. As entrepreneurs and as individuals, period, we oftentimes come across different choices and sets of options and opportunities, and it can be daunting. It can be one of those things that gets real noisy real fast. So how to deal with overwhelm from an entrepreneur standpoint, and more importantly, like from an individual standpoint, I think it's going to be a really, really enticing conversation. Bro, great to have you again and hosting this podcast with me. So let's roll. Let's get right into it.
I'm so excited. And I love this topic too, because who doesn't experience overwhelm?
Yeah.
Right? And especially if you have that vision and you're looking to create desired results in your life, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff. You're going to be a lot of things. You're going to wear a lot of hats, right? Like, how many times have you and I had this conversation? You know what I mean? Like, for those who don't know, Ralph is a serial entrepreneur and always got many projects going, which I think is so cool and exciting. And, but I mean, let me ask you, do you ever get overwhelmed?
100%.
Yeah, right.
I'm overwhelmed right now, I think.
Yeah. So it's something that we all deal with.
Yeah.
And so what I just took a look at for my own life is, instead of fighting overwhelm, how do I work with it? How do I use this as a gift? How do I use this to catapult me into bigger, better results in my life, right? And so first, though, I mean, let's talk about overwhelm. Again, I don't think overwhelm is a bad thing. I really don't. In fact, I welcome it. When I find myself in overwhelm, I'm like, okay, I'm noticing. So a couple steps. Step number 1, stop. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath, 3 to 6 just deep conscious breaths, and center yourself. Get to the point where you're present in that moment. Okay, what am I so overwhelmed about? And so last week, the week before last actually, in a lot of overwhelm. I had a lot of things going on and just super scattered all over the place, and left unchecked, found myself paying prices for overwhelm by not catching it, not having the awareness that I was overwhelmed. There's massive prices to pay. Think about it. You become less efficient, less effective, and you knock your physiological state, your sympathetic, your parasympathetic nervous system, out of balance. You're not at a state of being at ease. You're not in homeostasis. You're in dis-ease, right?
Yeah.
And so left unchecked long term leads to negative consequences, and made myself sick. I was so proud that I made it through, nearly 2 years of not catching COVID, because I'm just at ease. And I just found myself in a state of not at ease, man, suppressing my immune system, leave me open and susceptible to disease. And so it was a wonderful teacher to just stop, regroup, center, and okay, let me reset my focus here. And so, as you and I have talked in the past about overwhelm, here's why I think it's such a great teacher. Because if I'm in overwhelm, just myself personally, it gives me a chance, an opportunity to take a look at what's on my plate. Where are all these responsibilities coming from? Why are they here? And so I get to sit down with each and every one of them, which also gives me the opportunity to get a to-do list, a punch list, and then prioritize that. But most important, looking at those different categories and saying, okay, which part of these that are on my plate, these roles, these responsibilities that I have, which ones did I intentionally put on my plate through true choice? And true choice meaning that's because that's something I want to do. That's something I want to go create. This is fun and play. I get to do this. Because true choice is really that state of being, of playing to win. Versus those other things that could be on your plate that are false choice. And false choice things come from an attitude and a state of playing not to lose. And the energy between those two states, playing to win and playing not to lose, are just worlds apart. I mean, one is moving towards energy, moving towards what you want, creation, right. And one is moving away from what you don't want. So that's more survival states of being. You know what I mean? And what beautiful, powerful things are you going to create from that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it, man. And I hadn't really thought about it that way, right? True choice versus false choice, and moving towards pleasure away from pain. In the end, at the end of the day, it's different, very different types of energy and fuel that's gonna drive us. I think it really comes down to finding your truth, who you truly are as an individual, right? What are your aspirations? What are your dreams and desires that come straight from you? That can be a little bit more difficult to figure out than 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 said, right? Because it really takes sitting down and then doing away with all that outside influences, all those outside influences, meaning what do I want? What do I truly want for myself, as opposed to what's being fed to me by my environment, by my circumstances, by my situations. And because I've been and I've caught myself being in the spot where I have a shit ton of stuff to do. And I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. And next thing you know, I'm into a project 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it. And I was like, the fuck, I don't even want to do this. Like, this is not, it's like a borrowed headache.
Yeah.
And it's not lining up to my truth, to the person who I truly am, right? In terms of joy, aspirations, and vision. And I think overwhelm can come in a lot faster when you're not standing in that space.
Totally. And what I love about what you said is that your truth. So that would mean then having a purpose, having a mission, right? Because then everything that you decide to put on your plate, that you say, that you commit to, that you put your word on, that like, no shit, no kidding. If I put my name on it, it's a done deal. Right. And so how do you know what passed that test that it belongs on your plate because you're going to put your name on it? And that would be because it's in alignment with that purpose and that mission. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like the false choice things that we can tend to put on our plate, the energetic state that we create in such a way that causes us to say yes to those things that we take on but are not true choice, are things that like, well, in the moment I wanted to be liked, and so I said yes to this obligation, but it really doesn't align, right? Yeah. It's like it's taking on those things from a lower state that causes us to say yes. Yeah. So versus a true choice.
Almost a need of for validation, which we can tackle that on the next live.
Totally, yeah. Validation's a wonderful one. Are you looking for validation, doing things to get it, or are you creating that state? So yeah, but validation, significance, the need to be liked, people pleasing, all these false choice states that we can all be in, that we move through, and in those moments, not having the awareness of our true choice. Not having the awareness of, am I playing to win or is this playing not to lose? Yeah. That's causing me to say yes or no, right? Yep. So I just love that state of overwhelm, because that just means then I've gotten myself, by not paying attention, by not being conscious, by not being aware and present of what I put on my plate, that's not true choice.
So break it down for us. It's when you say playing to win versus playing not to lose, what is the biggest difference?
The biggest difference for me is playing to win is I decide. That's the true choice. It's that I'm saying yes because that's where my heart is. That's where my power is. Yeah. This is my creation. False choice is I have to. You know, like I'm a huge stickler on vocabulary and verbiage, like how people express things. Yeah. You know, oh, I had a great day. I had a bad day. No, you didn't. You had a day.
You had a day.
Yeah, you had a great you in your day, or you had a not so good you in your day. You know what I mean? Your day didn't do anything to you. You know what I mean? Like, we're not victims to our day.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
Like, it's just a perspective, right? So there's lots of different things we could break down as far as what constitutes playing not to lose versus playing to win. But those are some of the biggest ones. Again, it's playing not to lose is, well, just doing enough to get by, and those results are good enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. But there's a lot of false choice in that. There's a lot of, well, I'm doing this because I have to. I'm doing this so that I can be successful. I'm doing this to get something that I think I don't currently possess, that feeling, that state. Yeah. Versus true choice is, I determine my state. Yeah. And no, we're not robots. Like, nobody's in playing to win 100% of the time. You're just not. We have biology. We have lives. We have mortgages. We have families. We have businesses. We have things. And reality unfolds. And it's not the reality unfolding that's doing anything to us. It's something that's already inside of us that's getting triggered by that reality, right? And so in those moments, that's the key to notice. Okay, am I deciding to say yes, or am I deciding to say no for my true choice reasons? Am I doing this because it honors me?
Yeah, does it line up to me, to my truth?
Does this resonate?
The essential, being that I am. I think when, going back to the false choices, or it's... those can be driven by fear, right? It's just a fear of losing either a status, whatever you're in the middle of.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, that's how most operate. I know I was in that space for a very long time. I would do things based off of just not wanting to lose. You know what? I want to pull the trigger on this. It's an opportunity. It looks like an opportunity. I don't want to lose out on that. I don't even like that. I mean, my first business was that, that whole thing. And I rode that thing for 8 years. So, I mean, that can give you, that's a living example of what happens when you're not necessarily playing to win. I knew it was not going to be an end all be all. And I was putting 8 years of my life into that business. But I just didn't want to lose out on the opportunity that I saw, but it didn't fit. It didn't fit well. What happened? I got burned out. It took an emotional toll on me when I was in my mid-20s. It's like super early to have an emotional toll, and I was having emotional problems and breakdowns and stuff like that. So, but I wasn't standing in my truth. That was a false choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I love that, man. It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Yeah. You're a very smart person. I don't care what anybody says.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take it. I practice receiving compliments.
I'm really good at giving compliments.
So the other thing too is like, okay, so most people say, well, Justin, this doesn't make sense to me because what's on my plate is, maybe you're a single parent. And it's like, okay, I got to help the kids with their schoolwork. The house needs to be cleaned. Trash needs to be taken out. There's grocery shopping. I don't want to do any of that. But that's a responsibility and obligation I have. Okay, cool story, bro. That's just a bullshit excuse. Yeah. Because let's take a look at this. So if you're responsible to clean your house, to do your landscaping, to clean your pool, why do you think that that's your responsibility and obligation? That's not something that can be outsourced? You can't hire that out?
Yeah.
The biggest way to stay out of overwhelm the majority of the times is this one simple thing. Stop doing shit you hate.
No.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of the greatest life advice that I've ever heard.
But Justin, that is so complicated.
But it's really not. So here's the deal. I have a housekeeper. Yeah. I don't scrub my toilets. I don't wash my floors. I don't do my laundry.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not that stuff is that I'm above that stuff. That's not it at all. But I look at it and say, is that the highest and best use of my time and my talents?
Yeah.
Of course not. Obviously not. Yet it must get done.
Yeah.
But no one said it had to get done by me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't go out and do my landscaping. Now listen, if you're going to say, well, that dude's full of shit, I love doing my landscaping. It's my time to be by myself and not think and just see the fruits of my labor. Cool, do that. I said stop doing shit you hate.
Yeah.
Not things you love. I love fishing. That's my R&R. You know what I mean? It's mindless. I'm just in nature. Yeah. So my point is, now if you take a look at your kids, right? What can you give your kids as roles and responsibilities to teach them to contribute to the household, to give them an opportunity to step up and learn new skills and things of that nature? You know what I mean? Because even when your kid leaves the house, they're not going to have the money to go hire a housekeeper and a landscaper and a pool person. You know what I mean? So they got to learn to do these things on their own. And these are just fundamental life skills.
Yeah.
So can you do things to teach them responsibility? And now you don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So taking a look at all those other BS type obligations and responsibilities that must get done and just have an honest conversation with self and say, does this have to get done by me?
This is one thing that I see, especially with a lot of students actually go through this process, right? They're so anchored into doing things a certain way. They're so anchored into the thought of I can't because I have a 9 to 5. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. Between the 9 to 5, you're building somebody else's dream. Totally. After the 5, you're building your own dream, right? What happens is that a lot of people get comfortable and they go home and they sit down and watch Netflix and I'm tired. I don't have the energy. I don't drink some coffee. Do whatever you need to do, but squeeze 2 hours out of the day to work on yourself. When you do that, and you're proactive about that growth, you're proactive and focused on that time, you're going to create something, right? You're going to find a path. When you're going through life, unless you ended up in working for somebody else or in a company and whatnot by design, meaning that you really you crave that as a child, for example, firemen or police officers. Mm-hmm. I know people who want to be cops since they were 2 years old.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
And that's perfectly fine. They're living that that space, they're living that dream. What I'm saying is that people get caught in this loophole, right? And it's really a situational loophole because you get caught in that space and you feel like you're tied and anchored and not able to do anything else, which is a fallacy. It's a lie. You have the time or the opportunity to come in and then squeeze an extra hour, do 2 hours.
Totally.
Everybody does it. I mean, well, not everybody, but a lot of people do it, and entrepreneurs have to do it that way most of the time. If you're not, born into money, born into a business, or inherited or something. If you're doing a bootstrap, especially, 100%, you're gonna do something like that, right? You're gonna build your own dream on your own terms. Now, what I'm trying to get to is, you first wire your mindset around that idea, right? Okay, I'm building. I gotta live. This is my survival
bread and butter.
time. Yeah, bread and butter. This is my survival time. I'm not saying do away with that. I'm saying, focus on your growth, focus on your future, your journey, where you want to get to, and then commit a couple hours out of the day to doing that kind of stuff so you can grow as a person. You're gonna find out what your highest and best use is. And yeah, dude, I mean, I know that an hour of me focusing on working in my business, on my business, not in it, or developing or coaching or doing something else is a lot better than me spending an hour washing clothes. So you delegate that.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
And so just so that we're clear, yeah, we're not knocking on people that have 9 to 5s. You said, basically what I heard you say is not those people that have a 9 to 5 because they're living a purpose-driven life, like civil servants. Like I've got this agent at my brokerage, and he does a good amount of business. Yet he went and got a job at the emergency relief management. I forget what it's called, but basically that, like when there's massive floods here in our state. Yeah. Right. Like, and he said, they pay me to go do this, and I would do it for free. I'd volunteer. Yeah. He comes from military background, and he just has that mentality and that purpose-driven life of civil servant.
That links back into your truth, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but we're talking about the people that are stuck think they're stuck anyways, at a 9 to 5 because, well, you don't, Raph, Justin, you don't understand. I've got bills to pay. I got a family to feed. I got a mortgage and da-da-da. It's like, cool story, bro. Yeah. Like, cool, go do that. But then when you're off at 5, you got plenty of fucking time. Yeah. Because you don't got to be working until 9 a.m. Yeah. Right? Like, I heard this quote, and I thought it was so awesome. A salary is what people give you as a pill for you to forget about your dreams.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You've probably heard that one.
Yeah, I heard it as a bribe to forget about your dreams, which makes perfect sense anyway.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, take that drug to make those dreams go away. Because you're building someone else's dreams, right? Yeah. And so if you got to go build somebody else's dreams to trade your time for money just so that you can survive, cool, do that. But no one said you're stuck because like someone broke it down for me one day. This was many years ago. He wrote 186. You got 186 hours a week. Break that down. How many of those do you work at your 9 to 5? 40. Yeah. So you got 146 hours left. What are you doing? Okay, I'm going to delegate because how much does it cost to have a housekeeper and get your laundry done and all that? I mean, I pay like $100 biweekly. Like if you can't afford $200, your shit's broken, first of all. Yeah, right? You know what I mean?
You got to do something.
Give her the cable. You know what I mean? Then you don't have no excuse to sit your ass on the couch and watch TV and veg out because you're tired. You're really tired because you're not inspired. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, like, if you've got this dream that you want to create, that you want to bring to life, you want to bring to the market, and you want to build some wealth, like, go get it. It's so abundantly simple. I didn't say easy, but it's simple. If you just take a look at it that way. Like, okay, you're tired from working 9 to 5. How do you shift your state to get inspired? Inspiration's from within. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe you got that vision we talked about last Monday. Yeah? Yeah. Maybe take a look at your purpose and mission and enroll yourself. Create that state. Most people don't get done with their 9 to 5 and you're like, yes, I can't wait to go work on my vision. Some people do. And you know who they are by the fruits of their labor. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you do that and you're consistent, pretty soon you won't be able to afford the job. You know what I'm saying? Like real estate as an example, and you teach wholesaling and real estate investing. Like if someone was to go out after their 9 to 5 and just go knock on doors and make some calls and send the letters and do the things, how much is one of those deals worth? You know what I mean? Like I train realtors mostly, not just real estate people, but all entrepreneurs. And it's like that one escrow could be worth $15,000. Yeah. What if you did one a month? Just one.
That's it.
Just one. That's $180,000 a year. How much are you making at your 9 to 5? Yeah. And you had to sell one house in 30 days? Yeah.
There's ways of getting to that financial goal. I think one of the things that happens too for most is and again the reason I feel comfortable talking about all of this like this, it's because I was there. My financial thermostat wasn't there. You know what I mean? I had my financial thermostat wired set to 60K a year, and for some reason I would get to 60K, and if I was about to pass it, I would do some type of self-sabotage.
governor.
Yeah, and then boom, it would just bring me back down to this. And I struggled with that for a long, long time. It got better, as I launched my first business, and it kind of went. But it was a progressive action until I realized what was happening. One of the things that stops people on their tracks too is that feeling of overwhelm. It's scary. It's not nice. It's way outside of our comfort zones. If we are feeling overwhelmed, it's because we're not in that comfortable space that we quote unquote enjoy being. The comfort zone is not so comfortable, bro. I mean, it means mostly living paycheck to paycheck and making ends meet and
it's
staying
a dream killer.
Yeah, and staying in that survival mode. I mean, which is I think it's important to acknowledge. And that feeling of overwhelm, it's what keeps people awake at night. I think it also comes down to having a lack of clarity over the direction that we want to head in.
Totally. Well, the thing about the comfort zone too is that, like, think about it. If I'm going to go do a thing, let's say after my 9 to 5, or maybe you don't have a 9 to 5 and you are an entrepreneur, but I'm staying within my comfort zone. If it's comfortable, that means then, by definition, I've already experienced this before. I have a memory of it.
Yeah.
Which means then, what am I doing? I'm consciously and or unconsciously operating from memories of the past. And if I'm always operating from memories of the past, I'm not having new experiences, new choices, new decisions that lead to new experiences, which lead to new emotions, which correspond to new thoughts. That means that I'm going to be predictable in my future.
Right.
You know what I mean? So overwhelm is like, okay, I got a lot going on. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel insufficient. Like, yes, right. Of course you are. Insufficient.
Yeah.
You're doing something new.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell do you know? And like, you can look at that as exciting opportunities to go have new experiences that lead to new emotions, which correspond with new thoughts. Like, you're literally becoming somebody new. Like, how exciting is that? And stepping into those new territories and expanding that comfort zone, like, that is where the life of your dreams exists.
Yeah, you're taking yourself to a whole new level.
Yeah. If the life of your dreams existed in your comfort zone, you'd already have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it'll already be here.
And I know a good number of people that are there. Like, that's all they want to aim at. They're super happy. They're not necessarily going out there and doing the whole entrepreneur thing, but they're living a happy life, right? They're fulfilled. There's a sense of fulfillment, which I think it's important. And again, it's like you said earlier, it's not bashing on anybody. It's just, if you're in a space where you feel like you want more, like you desire more, like, oh, you know what, I should be there's some type of itch just going on, and then, slapping you across the face in the middle of the night, telling you to wake the fuck up and then follow your dreams or create the life that you desire. Like, that's a red flag. Right, you got to find ways to get around the procrastination or the stuff that's gonna stop you. And one of the fastest things that we come across is overwhelm. Why? Because we're used to handling this one thing. We're used to just just showing up to work, clocking in, and then doing the 5 things that our job requires, and then clocking out, and that's it. That's the mind span that we have. That's the capacity that we're used to operating under. Right, not that we can handle, but the capacity that we're used to. Whenever you rev that up, and then you go to that next level, it's gonna demand a whole new person. It's gonna demand a whole new set of responsibilities.
Yeah.
One of the biggest fears, bro, that I see time and time again is people hiring. All right. I'll coach people through the beginning of the process, and they get to a point where, okay, cool, now there's enough action going on, they need help. And the second they start thinking about hiring, like, oh, that's a lot of responsibility. And then the whole feeling again of being overwhelmed just showers them.
Yeah, not only that, but I think for a lot of people, the overwhelm comes from the
what if I fail?
If I delegate that away, I have to release control.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's scary. I know I experienced that in my business, but I wanted to circle back around real quick, that part you talked about like that gnawing feeling that you're meant for more, or there's something you should be doing, and you likely know what that is. Like, I believe that our spirit is always for expansion and fuller expression. So there's never enough.
Yeah.
But like, in the same time, I'm still happy and content with where I'm at. I'm still happy and content if it all was taken away tomorrow. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But again, as we discussed last Monday, like that stuff doesn't define me. So, I mean, it's the reason I started the seminar company. You know what I mean? It's like there's always something within you, those gifts that you are to bring to the world and share with humanity. And so it's easy to become overwhelmed with that because then you're like, well, what do I do next? Where do I start? What do I need? Like, what's the plan? I don't have a plan. I've never done this before. Da, 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 da. And the mind's just going, right?
Yep.
And that's why I believe like what we got, our men's mastermind, our tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and you've seen probably that meme before, like instead of baby showers, how about entrepreneur showers? Like when a friend's starting a new business, like let's get together, pull together resources. Okay, share with me your vision.
Bring a bunch of diapers because there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of shitstorms happening.
Oh, no kidding. You know what I mean? Get some wipes. So, you know, but it's like, well, you know, like you and I, when we get together, it's like, okay, I'm stuck. Here's where I want to go. This is what I've been doing. And what am I not seeing? Like, get yourself a tribe, man. Get yourself some people that are also in motion, that are chasing their dreams. And maybe neither one of you know what the hell you're doing. But those two ambitious people on fire and, you know, like incompetent, insufficient, like are going to figure it out. If you just don't stop, if you just don't quit, if you just don't throw in the towel and you just keep moving, you're going to figure it out. It's going to unfold. It always does. Yeah. And so that overwhelm, I believe, whether it's overwhelm of hiring people, we can touch on that, whether it's overwhelm of just too much going on, whether it's overwhelm of I don't even know where to start, like those are all wonderful, beautiful states to become aware of and utilize that as a teacher of like, okay, this is here happening, not to me. This is happening for me, for me to have an awareness, for me to have a realization, a real truth. You know what I mean? So that I know how to get more information to be information. And the part about hiring, like, and especially if you've never hired anybody before, like, why don't you just sit down and write out what are all those roles and responsibilities you don't want to do? What is that $12, $15 an hour stuff that must get done to move the needle forward, but it doesn't have to be done by you? Because likely that's not your skill set as an entrepreneur. Your skill set is not inputting data and fixing the spreadsheet and you know what I mean? The little follow-up, follow-through type tasky things. That's not where the magic's made. Yeah. It must get done, though, right? It's supportive to move the needle forward. It's supportive to track that data so that you get those KPIs and things of that nature. But likely as an entrepreneur, your skill set is more so in enrolling people into your product or selling it and those types of things. You know what I mean? That's not $12, $15 an hour stuff.
Yeah, there's always a period of a transition, right? Where you have to do everything yourself because you're ramping up. And especially, again, if you're a bootstraps entrepreneur, meaning that you're starting everything by yourself and just, you know, going off of this dream and trying to figure the whole thing out as you go. So but it's a transitionary period. One thing that happens, and you see it in mom and pop shops, you know, all the time, right? There's no, I think the decisions go, or the choices go from true choices to false choices. Let's use that as an example. Okay. The true choice is to follow my dream, right? Set up a business, set up this potential of a life that I want. Follow the vision. And that's true. It's your compass, and it's guiding you in a certain way. And then you set it up. You start going through the process, and you start building up. Boom, 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 building up. Couple of years go into it, and we start getting caught in these false choices, like you said. So we go from that desire to create something to that need to not lose something. Sure. And we shift.
Sure, that can happen, yeah.
Yeah, so it's everything is a period of transition, right? As we go through the process, the tasky stuff is going to have to be done. You're going to have to go through it. It doesn't mean that you have to be there all the time. Like, you can evolve, and then you can delegate, and then you can keep in mind what your highest and best, you know, use is as an entrepreneur. What's your talent? What's your God-given gift? Capitalize on that. Tap on that.
And I have just a quick little story to share about how I'm a recovering controller, and well, because
welcome.
Yeah, my name's Justin. I used to always operate from the state of like, if it is to be, it's up to me, and if you want it done right, do it yourself. Like, that's what I was taught by my mom, who had an incredible work ethic, but she always worked minimum wage jobs. She was always the best at what she did, but never really learned how to earn money.
That financial thermostat again.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was 2011, and the year before I'd done like 24 deals, and I was ramping up my business. It was completely demolished, had to reinvent it. And like as a realtor, and you know this, like you got to turn in files to your broker for them to sign them within a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was twice that year where the office manager said, "Hey, Justin, you have a commission check here." I was like, "Sweet!" I was waiting on that because I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And she's like, "But we don't have a file for this property." I was like, "Oh, snap! Let me get that for you because they won't release your check until you give the broker everything they need, so they don't get in trouble with the Department of Real Estate." And so I just realized that this was a problem. Like I hated paperwork. I'm not a high analyst where I like crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure the paperwork's in line. Like it's just boring to me. I would rather cut my wrist with my cell phone. You know what I mean? Like I just don't want to do it. But I was reluctant to hire a transaction coordinator because I thought, what if they mess it up?
Well,
What if they mess up something and I lose a deal? I can't afford that. I can't afford to lose thousands of dollars. And I don't have, in my mind, didn't have steady income to pay them a salary. So I switched from I can't do that to how can I? How can I get this done? Because I don't want to do it anymore. And like, if I'm afraid she's going to mess it up, look at me screwing it up all over the place. I'm not even turning in files. So clearly I'm being like self-delusional here that I'm like somehow great at this because I suck. And so anyways, I worked out a financial model where that I paid her a percentage of that deal, so I didn't have to actually shell out cash, right? But check it out. This was the real magic. So I hired her about October that year that I was on track to do 24 deals. By hiring her and integrating her into the business and having her take over certain roles to chase down documents, clients, lenders, escrow officers, and just orchestrating the transaction, that left me to do just one thing: go get new business, and then already to handle the business that I was getting.
Yeah.
That's all I had to do. So all I had to do was basically answer my phone and go on appointments. That's it. Get people under contract and do my deal.
Yeah.
Do what I do. Do what I do best. The next year, without no new marketing, doing nothing different, just getting all of that stuff out of my mental bandwidth. Like if this was my mental bandwidth and this much was taken up by just bullshit stuff and I got rid of that, now I get to reinvest this, reallocate that into what does move the needle forward. So that's what I did. So I went from 24 deals to the next 12 months, 46. Because energy flows where attention goes.
Right.
And so if I'm paying attention to the things that matter most, that's also increasing my intention, my emotional state, and connecting to the energy of what I truly desire. And now I'm all in focused.
Yeah.
So if you want to increase your business by nearly 200%, what if you just got some stuff off your mental bandwidth that's on your plate that you think you got to do, or no one can do it better than you, but you really suck at it?
Yeah.
And start delegating some of that stuff. Because there's people out there that'll do it better than you for a very small amount of money too. And like you were talking about earlier, they love doing it. Like this lady that was my transaction coordinator, she loved it. She was a retired school teacher, and she straight up like paper files and pencil. You know what I mean? Like not even computer. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but whatever. It's working. She's getting it done. She loves her job, and it was just a beautiful marriage.
Yeah,
you know?
I love it, man. So to kind of bring it full circle here, it's what do you do to deal with overwhelm?
So I carve out some time, typically in the evening, when I can just relax. I'll probably just do a meditation to really ground myself and just get calm. And then I can take an objective look at, okay, let me check all my emails. Let me just flush that out because I'm feeling behind. Let me take a look at what are really my 90-day goals and how am I doing.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at these other roles and responsibilities, the things that have been weighing heavy on my heart and mind, and let me just map it all out. Let me get clear on where I am, point A. You know what I mean? Like if I were to hand you a map, drop you off in the middle of nowhere and give you a map and a compass and say, find point B, what would you have to know first?
Where point B is.
Where am I?
Yeah.
And in relation to point B, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Point A. Like you want to lose weight, step on the scale. Where am I today? So get an honest assessment of where you are. Yes, it takes some energy. Yes, it takes time. But if you're in overwhelm, what in the hell else are you doing that's more important than that?
Yeah.
Because if you don't get clear on where I am and where I need to go, where I want to go, and what this is going to look like, if you don't get clear on that, like you're just going to continue to be in chaos, in reactive mode, in a false choice mode, in playing not to lose mode. You won't be efficient with your time. You won't be effective with your state and your presence. Like you're just creating more shit.
Yeah.
So that's step number one for me. Let me just stop, time out, let me get clear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly what I do to deal with overwhelm. And I just put up, a couple of weeks ago, I think I put up a video on how to deal with procrastination and feeling, that sense of overwhelm. And it's figuring out, it's getting clear about your actions. And the name of it is "This is why you're procrastinating." It's because there's a lack of clarity. So one thing is vision, right? One thing is to craft that vision in that direction that we want to head in, and the grand scheme of things that we want to work off of. The other one is actually breaking it down and what are the actionables? What's the direction that I want to take? Now, lining up tasks is one thing, but clarity is not just the to-do list. Clarity also comes into play, at a internal level.
Totally.
Okay, cool. Why is my mind foggy? Why can't I think? How is my health? How are my relationships? Why do I feel like I have no energy to do any of the stuff that I need to do? And getting clear on that. Is it because your physical health is it's just not there? What do you need to come in and then figure out there? And really breaking it down. One thing that's working well for me, it's every day, I started doing this not too long ago. I wish I would have started a long time before. But it's setting up a few hours a day for focus. And I really call it, I put it in my schedule. So it's in there. That way nobody can book time during my focus time. Yeah. And it's just focus time, all right? It's me looking at the to-do list. It's me looking at where am I at emotionally, where's my mindset, and then just getting clear. But I do that every single day, right?
Yeah.
And come back to that space. And it gives me like a moment of breathing. Right before the podcast, I came in from the gym. I was still sweating right now when we started recording. So we go from the tendency to go from one thing to the next, and then to back appointments, and then I have 15
Grind.
minutes here. I have 15 minutes here. What else can I squeeze in? Like, what else can I be productive in those 15 minutes? Like, no, you got to build that time for yourself. I call it focus time, but it's really time. It's like a reset. It's a buffer to do me. At that point in time.
I love that because every morning I have not only do I have my morning practice, my morning ritual.
Yeah,
like we were
I have
talking
that
about
too,
last
yeah.
week. You know what I mean? And I know you're an advocate of that as well. But how about a business ritual? How about first thing in the morning? That's however much time you require, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, doesn't matter. To sit and get clear and be like, okay, what is my focus today? Let me check my schedule.
Yeah.
Let me check my business plan. Like, what is the highest and best use of my time today? And let me take a list of my roles and responsibilities and what must get done today. And sometimes those are like scary phone calls. Like this morning, I was off last week, basically sick. And then so this morning, it's like, okay, it's time to get back on the ball. Yeah. All right. Now, before I get on the phone and enroll people into what I want them to do for their reasons, I got to enroll myself first. So that focus time, that business ritual is an opportunity to get yourself in that state to remind yourself, why am I here? What am I doing? I'm here to play to win. And let's go get into action. Pick up the phone and make the call.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Tap into it. Sweet, man. It's overwhelm is one of those things that I think it's always going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a yogi or like yogis, I'm pretty sure they get overwhelmed too. Like for whatever yogis get overwhelmed, whatever the reasons are. But it's important to have the awareness to deal with it. It's important to have the awareness of understanding, okay, this is shit. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes it's hard to recognize.
Yes.
And you just feel tired. My energy's low. I'm frustrated. I'm stressed out. I'm pissed off. I'm in a bad mood.
You become acclimated to the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And you get in this dark mental space, and it's just a feeling of overwhelmness that can be, cured or remedied or improved through clarity. Or taking a gap, right, just to sit there with ourselves and think about the actions going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. So really, in summary on overwhelm, again, I just want to reiterate to people that when you have the awareness, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And because I've been acclimated to this chaos for several days, a week, a month, whatever it is, and you finally have the awareness that you're in the overwhelmed state, stop for a minute and give thanks. Like, thank you. First of all, to myself for having the awareness, and thank you for me creating this situation of overwhelm, because overwhelm doesn't happen to you. You create it.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here, because now I get to learn some things. I get to learn some things about myself, and I get to recalibrate, reorganize myself, reorient myself so that I can move forward in a more positive trajectory. So thank it for being here, for you creating it so that it's your teacher.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for growth.
Absolutely.
So ask yourself the question. This goes out to the audience. Ask yourself the question, next time you're feeling bottled up, next time you're feeling like you're stuck, or you're in a dark space, or you're just tired and you're pissed off, you're not in the mood, ask yourself if it's due to a sensation of overwhelm, being overwhelmed in whatever it is that you're doing. So
Yeah, and I think if you just stop, take some time throughout your day, maybe set an alarm on your phone, like even once an hour, just to kind of get in the habit of what is my state right now? How am I feeling? Like, am I feeling survival emotions, doubt, worry, fear, anxiety, all those kinds of things? Or am I, no, I'm inspired, man, I'm focused, I'm moving forward. Yeah. And if you just keep checking in to your state, how am I being right now? That's a great indicator for you to build your awareness so that you can prevent more situations of overwhelm, more chaos, more reactivity, more anger, more frustration, all those kinds of things. So you're your own best teacher.
Yeah, 100%, man. I love it. All right, Justin, where can somebody follow you if they want to, send you questions or just reach out and have a conversation and whatnot?
Yeah, man. JustinThorstad.com talks about Libertas, JT seminars, things like that. But either Instagram, Facebook, just search Justin Thorstad.
Sweet. So JustinThorstad.com and Justin Thorstad in social media. You can also follow me on Rafael Cortez, CEO, YouTube, subscribe, share, like, and do everything else that...
All the things
that people do to, like, when they see something good and then they push it out. Yeah, do that. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for hanging in with us. It's another episode of the CEO Pulse podcast on the Mindset Fridays. Oh, no, Mindset Mondays.
Mindset Mondays, yeah.
I'm thinking about Friday already. My mindset. All right. Another episode of the CEO Pulse podcast, Mindset Mondays. And we'll catch you on the next one. Stay focused. You got this.